To have a monkey on one's back. That's not an attractive phrase, but it is a useful one. It describes carrying the tormenting weight of some brutish and ugly burden. Johannes Brahms had, in fact, 2 monkeys on his back. Clinging to one side was the curse, the article Robert Schumann had written when Brahms was a 20-year-old nobody, an article that declared Brahms to be the new Messiah of German music. Brahms knew as well as everyone else that messiahs were greeted with garlands and were then crucified, which is precisely what happened to the young Brahms. Too much was expected of him too soon, and it nearly crushed him. On the other side of Brahms's back was another monkey, this one with the face of Ludwig van Beethoven, the previous Messiah of German music. The legacy of Beethoven dogged Brahms's entire career, and between that legacy and the curse, Brahms consciously decided not to release to the public any music that would bring him into direct comparison with Beethoven, meaning in particular symphonies. To that end, Brahms sat on his first symphony for almost 20 years. He began sketching it in the mid-1850s, but only finished and went public with it in 1876, when he was 43 years old. Friends and foes alike immediately dubbed it Beethoven's 10th. But 'twas done, and Brahms's orchestral floodgates burst open. In the 7 years between 1877 and 1884, he composed and released his symphonies numbers 2, 3, and 4, the Piano Concerto No. 2, and in 1878, his Violin Concerto in D major, Opus 77. Oh, and for our information, it was also in 1878 that the now 45-year-old Brahms grew his famous beard. Brahms's Violin Concerto is one of the great glories of the repertoire, a masterwork of the very first order. It was composed for and with the collaboration of his old friend, the violinist Joseph Joachim. Movement 1. Typical of almost any late 18th and 19th century concerto, this first movement is cast in double exposition form, which means that the orchestra plays the themes first, typically 2 themes, perhaps 3 in number. Then the soloist plays the themes, after which the themes are developed and recapitulated by both the orchestra and the soloist. Brahms's first movement, which features 2 principal themes, is anything but typical. Let's do some listening, starting with Theme 1. Theme 1, as played initially by the orchestra, elegant, direct, and majestic, begins without introduction or fanfare. What follows now is a passage called the modulating bridge. It's a transitional passage intended to change key, that is, modulate, while it prepares for the appearance of the second principal theme. Here is that modulating bridge. The music has just inhaled, and we prepare now for the exhalation that will be theme 2. Well, we shouldn't hold our breath, because instead of the anticipated second theme, the modulating bridge just resumes. It is a moment of signal frustration. Listen. Did we miss it? Did we miss theme 2? Oh no, we did not. As we will find out in a moment, Brahms is saving theme 2 for someone special. Okay, the orchestral exposition comes to its conclusion, and then the solo violin enters. And oh, what an entrance! This is no violin as lyric soprano. Oh no, this is Joseph Joachim's violin, a masculine, muscle-bound, electrifying instrument that in just seconds takes ownership of the concerto. Here is that entry. Sensational. Having asserted its power, the violin goes on to embellish and extend theme 1, transforming that sturdy and direct theme into something radiant and sublime. An extended passage leads to the modulating bridge, which concludes this way. And now, the moment we've all been waiting for. Theme 2. Brahms has saved this greatest and most exquisite melodic treasure for the solo violin. The theme now fills the void left during the orchestral exposition. It is an exalted, transcendent moment. We listen from the conclusion of the modulating bridge. The glories of the remainder of this over 20-minute-long movement are too many to count, including the cadenza, which was created at Brahms' request by Joseph Joachim himself. Movement 2. The self-effacing, uber-self-critical Brahms referred to this lovely, gentle, serenade-like movement as being, quote, a miserable adagio, unquote. In this, Brahms is half correct. The movement is an adagio, a slow movement. But miserable? Please. Movement 3. My friends, Johannes Brahms loved many things. He loved having dinner with his buddies at a restaurant called the Red Hedgehog. He loved eating sardines out of a can and then drinking down the oil. He loved his Cuban cigars, vacationing in Italy, and strong black coffee. But as much as anything else, Brahms loved what we today would call cafe gypsy music, the dancing, tokay-infused, expressively over-the-top music of urban Hungarian gypsies. Brahms fell in love with this music when he was a teenager, when his hometown of Hamburg was flooded with Hungarian refugees after the failed Hungarian Revolution of 1848. It is a fact. No one, including Hungary's own Franz Liszt, composed better Hungarian-styled gypsy music in the 19th century than did Johannes Brahms. In support of that unequivocal statement, we have the third movement finale of Brahms's Violin Concerto in D major, a raucous and brilliant movement based on this Hungarian gypsy-like fiddle tune. This movement is structured as a rondo, which means that this wonderful theme will return periodically, like a refrain, after various contrasting episodes. Altogether, we will hear this fabulous theme 4 times. The movement provides an altogether brilliant conclusion to a magnificent concerto. Thank you.